The Mamar we're going to learn this morning, or at least a portion of it, was delivered by our Rebbe on Parshat Yitro on a Shabbos morning. The day was the 17th of Shvat, Tovshin Memdalad. The equivalent would be 1984. It has nothing to do with Orson Welles' book. All right. The Parsha contains within it the narrative of Matan Torah. This is a big deal. And the Torah describes what the people were experiencing at the time of this mass revelation. In Exodus 20, verse 15, the Torah states, Vechol ha'am Roim et hakolot. The entire nation saw the sounds. V'et halapidim, and the lightning. V'et kol hashofar, and the sound of the shofar. V'et hahar oshen, and the mountain smoking. Everybody saw this. They saw the sounds. They saw the lightning. And it says, Vayar ha'am, the nation saw, or maybe internalized. Vayanu, and they were shaken. They moved. Vayamdu merachak, they stood from afar. Vayadua hadiyok bezeh b'derush rabbeinu nesienu, the Mamar of our Rabbeim, starting from Likutei Torah, which is found in Parshat Bamidbar, and many other Mamarim, and especially the Rebbe based the Mamar that he recited in 1984 on a similar Mamar that had been delivered by the fifth Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, in 1884. Exactly 100 years later. The tzarich lahavin, that what we need to understand is mahu inyan hakolos halalu. What was the purpose of all these ear-splitting sounds? It really wasn't such a big deal. If you look at the content of what was delivered to the Jewish people at Mount Sinai, things that weren't necessarily new to them, and even if they were new, they weren't profound, particularly profound. It doesn't require a major godly revelation and earth-shattering sounds to talk about the Dvarim shenetztava b'Matan Torah, the things were commanded at the time when the Torah was given in Dvarim Pshutim. The simple things, don't murder. For this you need a light and a sound show. For this you need thunder and lightning. You shouldn't be jealous, you shouldn't covet. It's le'sirtzach, le'sana, don't murder, don't be engaged in perjury or falsehood. In Dvarim Pshutim. These are basic things. If you speak to the average person, a normal person, he would say, yeah, sure, of course, that's the basis of morality. Shegamim lo nitztava aleim. It's eminently possible, had we not been commanded, we would still come to the same conclusion. This is the meaning of morality. That's the way a society should be. In keeping with the teaching of our sages, which is found in Maseches Eruvin on the 100th page, that it says, Ilmole linitnu Torah. If the Torah had not been given to us, hayinu lemeidim tznius mechatul, we would have been able to learn modesty from a cat, because cats are modest creatures, and they don't like to clean themselves in public. They like to find themselves a little corner. So we could be like a cat. They made a Broadway show called Cats. Why can't you be like a cat? Cat, be modest like a cat. Understand that certain things don't have to be displayed in public, that not everything has to be on a billboard, not everything has to be in the public eye. But that's just an example of the notion of even modesty, which is a Torah idea. The notion that naked and knew that they needed clothes is in the Torah, wearing clothes is a Torah concept. If it wouldn't be in the Torah, people probably still would have figured out that they should wear clothes. They still would have figured out that modesty is an appropriate virtue. The Rebbe goes on to share some details about the Mamar of 1884, and at the bottom of the paragraph he says this. He says, another thing which is found in the Mamar of the Rebbe Rashab, who comments and he says, it's one thing to do this when you elect to do it. It's quite another when you're commanded to do it. Human nature is such that if we're commanded to do something, we push back. Don't tell me what to do. If I decide in my own volition to engage in this behavior, it must be a good thing. Like when I was a little boy, I thought fasting was fantastic. It was such a good idea to fast. I thought it was such a cool thing. It was such a holy thing. I felt so close to God, and I was fighting with my father. A 10-year-old boy, I fasted Tisha B'Av. And then I became bar mitzvah, and it wasn't so cool anymore. Now I had to do it. This is human nature. But the Rebbe Rashab says, all right, I get that. It still doesn't call for lightning and thunder. It still doesn't call for a whole earth-shattering show of might. Like it's not that a big a deal. In the Mamar, he also notes that in Yalkut Shimoni, it says that when Hashem brought us those words came from God, Anoichi. And it says, we heard it Mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from the proverbial mouth of God, called Echad Yisrael Haya Omer. We were talking too. So God was talking, and we were responding. And we were saying, Imi Hadibur Medaber. I can't believe this. He's talking to me. He's literally talking to me. That's how we felt. He's talking to me. And the Yalkut Shemini finishes off. That's why it says, I am the Lord, your God, your personal God. And the same is true b'sha'ar hadibris with the other statements, that each person felt God was speaking to them individually. And this needs to be better understood. What is the point of Hadibur Medaber im kol echad v'echad? What is the point of God's speech seemingly connecting to each and every individual? What does it mean? What would have happened if we would be in a crowd with millions of people? It wouldn't feel God speaking to me. We felt this was an intimate, private moment between us and God. What if it wouldn't feel that way? The Torah wouldn't be a Torah. We wouldn't be responsible for the things Hashem told us. We're going to skip the next little paragraph because it's about the Mamar in 1884. Some parenthetical historical details. And we're going to pick it up with the words Vehine Nekudas Habir. The kernel, or the essence, the quiddity of the explanation, as it's expounded in the Mamar of the Rabbeim, and especially the Mamar of the Rebbe Rashab, is that Matan Torah was not simply the conveyance of information. God was not simply giving us instructions or commandments, but rather, the moment that God revealed himself at Mount Sinai was called Hamshachas Ha'atzmos. The essence of God was actualized and brought forth. Begoli, in an open way. As the Rebbe adds in the parentheses, Kefi sheshayich inyan hagilui ba'atzmos. As much as revelation and atzmos, the essence of divinity, can go together. It's not exactly French fries and ketchup. It doesn't really make sense for atzmos, for the essence to be revealed, because the notion of revelation requires a certain, we're going to call, going away from my essence, and that there's the element of what can be revealed. So a person will say, reveal your essence. Even if a person reveals his proverbial essence, he's still not revealing his truest essence. He's revealing his essence as it's being revealed. But as much as we can talk about revelation and essence, the essence of divinity was revealed. So God laid bare the essence, his essence for us. How does that happen? Because God's essence is such that it should either not be a revelation of essence, meaning because God's essence can't be revealed, or if God's essence is revealed, then we can't remain as we are, independent and separate of God. We should be overwhelmed by it. The experience should transform us. It's like you can't turn the lights on and still expect the darkness to be there. If the lights are on, there's no more darkness. So if you have a beautiful picture projected on the wall, a exquisite virtual reality that perhaps surrounds us on all sides, and then the lights go on, the virtual reality isn't so exquisite anymore. Suddenly the colors don't resonate with the same intensity. Suddenly the picture is blurred, and the lighter it gets, the less you see the picture. That will necessarily take away from the picture. But here we want Gilui Atzmos, we want the lights to be on, but at the same time we want to still see the picture. This is like an extraordinary thing. It doesn't exactly make sense. But this is what Matan Torah was. But Matan Torah was nifel, but Matan Torah, what was accomplished on Matan Torah? So in the words of the Shemais Rabbah, the 12th chapter, in the famous Medrash Tanchuma, in the 15th chapter, in Va'era, it says that Matan Torah could best be metaphorized with this idea of Bittul HaGzeira, decrees being rescinded. That there's Al Yonim and Tachtonim. There are upper dwellers and lower dwellers, and there was no commerce between the two. Forget tariffs, no, a border shut down. The upper kingdom could not dwell or could not mix or meld in any way, shape, or form with the lower kingdom. No interaction.
That's beforehand.
That's prior to Matan Torah. And then Matan Torah represented Bitul Hagzera. The wall was torn down. The distinction, the gulf between these two kingdoms was suddenly was taken away. And all of a sudden, things could be in one place, and then there could be commerce, there could be engagement, there could be an exchange from one realm to the other. So it was al yenim leyardu letachtenim v'tachtenim leyalu. Those upper dwellers could not come to the lower kingdom, and the dwellers of the lower kingdom couldn't go up to the upper kingdom, and then this was rescinded. And because that was rescinded, by the way, in the metaphor it means that initially the realm of spirituality and the realm of physicality were mutually exclusive, and they could not mix because they were separate. Until Matan Torah. Matan Torah represents the rescinding of that decree.
So no time, no space, everything's...
Well, we do live within time and space, but at the same time, the essence of spirituality could be revealed in this.
So the plague and man and the splitting, those were acts, the essence.
Those were not the essence of God. The plagues and even the splitting of the Reed Sea, which was preparation for Matan Torah, was not yet the revelation of the essence.
It was the first time that there was heaven and earth got together.
Right. Heaven and earth never really mixed. There was times when heaven mixed into earth, right? There was a carpet bombing, as you say. But there were no boots on the ground.
The whole Bati Legani, then after 10 generations.
This is a lot of Mamar Chassidus, right? But here the Rebbe is talking not just about the presence of God coming into this world. Here he's using the terminology of Hamshachas HaAtzmos, the drawing forth of the essence of divinity. So typically when we speak in Chassidus, speak about God, we speak of different levels of divinity, levels of the divine persona, if you will, or levels of divine energy. But now we're speaking not of levels, now we're speaking about divinity itself, Godhood itself. So this notion of Godhood itself is revealed in this world. That's what happens in Matan Torah. Because that was the case, because godliness was revealed, then it was revealed everywhere. Everywhere. So somebody will say, where did Matan Torah happen? The answer is not really the Sinai desert. I mean, the Torah was given in the Sinai desert. Where did Matan Torah happen? The answer is in the terrestrial, material world that we live. That's where it happened. That's where the impact of Matan Torah happened.
So the essence was revealed, but that doesn't necessarily mean we have to be aware of it, or does it?
We, Baruch Hashem, are so wonderfully endowed with the ability to deny the essence even when it's revealed. But otherwise we wouldn't have the ability to make a choice, and therefore righteousness could never be ours. So God reveals it, but conceals it.
But at that moment
it was revealed. But the thing is this, they accepted it, but the thing is this, even after it was no longer overtly revealed, the impact, the residual impact lingered on. And we still benefit from that today. So what was our question? Our question was, why the lightning and the thunder? And you say, why not? It's a big deal. You come to a wedding, and you see a band playing, and you see flowers, and you see people dressed in their finery, and you see the room festooned, and you say, what's the big deal? What are you talking about? It says they're getting married. He says, but getting married. They've been living together for 10 years. What's the big deal? What are they making a whole story out of this marriage? There's no change. You're right. You have a point. I don't know why they're doing that. Okay, so there you say, well, that nothing really happened. That wasn't a big deal. But if you come to a normal wedding where the bride and groom are actually not living together, and this is a big moment. They're crossing a threshold into a new world. So, that's what it's a big deal. So people make a big deal out of things which are meaningful, things which are a big deal. But if it's not even meaningful, why make a big deal out of it? Matan Torah was a big deal. It's the greatest light and sound show ever seen on planet Earth. Nothing holds a candle. Nothing. Nothing was quite like it. Absolutely nothing ever. Not before, neither after. So the question was, why this great sound and light show? Who needs all the thunder and the lightning? What was the purpose of it? It's Dvarim Pshutim. God didn't even give us any profundity at Matan Torah. You want profundity? Oh, I'll take you to open the holy books and you can read about profound things. As Matan Torah, the words that were given to us were not profound or deep or mystical or particularly exhilarating. They're ordinary things. Do not covet your neighbor's wife, his car, his house. Wow, that's so profound. Not really. Do not murder. It's bad to murder another person. For this, I need a sound and light show. Don't lie. Do not abuse the court system. Perjury is wrong. Yeah, I think we kind of know that. Civilizations that reject the idea of Aseret HaDibrot, the Ten Commandments, and Matan Torah, they still say that you can't lie. There's this big fight in the south of the United States where judges want to have the Ten Commandments and other people want to take down the Ten Commandments. Nobody's suggesting that perjury should be okay now. No Ten Commandments, and from now on, the court system will function with lies, and everything will be a big lie. That'll work well. You'll come, you'll swear on whatever you want to swear, and then you lie. Well, that's not going to be justice. We're not going to have a court system. So why the big deal? They have the answers. Do you know why the big deal? Because this is Hamshachas Ha'atzmos. And Hamshachas Ha'atzmos is a big deal. So you say, well, if Hamshachas Ha'atzmos is a big deal, why doesn't it sound like a big deal? Then why aren't we hearing about something with a wow factor attached to it? Why are we hearing about rather ordinary things? Where's the wow? Hamshachas Ha'atzmos means the bringing forth of the essence of divinity. And don't ask me what that means. So he says, V'lachein, that's why Nemru b'matan Torah dvarim pshutim. That's why it was so simple. The things being spoken of were so abundantly simple. Ki b'matan Torah chodra hamshachas ha'atzmos. Because of matan Torah, the essence of divinity was brought forth to saturate and permeate kol seder ha'ishtalshlos, the entire order of existence. Gam b'dvarim achri pshutim. Divinity will no longer be found in the realm of the profound, of the deep, of the mystical, of the spiritual. Will God be found everywhere, in everything, in the most ordinary, mundane, and simplistic thing. That too will reflect God, and not only that too, va'adarabah, as they say in Spanish, el contraire, exactly the opposite. Hamshachas ha'atzmos. When you talk about atzmos, when you talk about the deepest level of divine revelation, the sign, the symbol, the symptom of that kind of revelation is the transformation of the lowest level rather than the highest. That is gam b'mokem atachtem b'yeser. Is explained in multiple places, and especially in a very famous Mamar that was delivered over a long time, because a very long Mamar of the Mittel Rebbe in a book called Sharei Oira, which has two major portals. One is Shar Chanukah, one is Shar Purim. And there in Shar Purim, in the first Mamar, in the 12th chapter, he talks about this idea that Kol HaGavoya b'yoser yored lamata b'yoser. What comes from a higher place will necessarily reach the lowest place. And he brings there three metaphors. He says, let's talk about light. Let's talk about an enormous amount of light. How big, how intense, how overwhelming was the light? If you want to describe it, you'll say it was able to illuminate 100 meters away, 200 meters away. Floodlights can illuminate something which is hundreds of meters away. So where is the intensity of the floodlight seen most? If you're like in the floodlight. If you're about like a foot away from it, when you're blinded. Yes. But where, if you want to describe the floodlight to somebody, say this floodlight is so powerful, it can reach even several hundred meters away. You won't describe the floodlight as it is in its immediate vicinity. You'll describe the impact of the floodlight even when it's far away. Even if, the Rebbe Mendel Rebbe says, if you would have a much smaller amount of wattage, which would be meaningful. Suppose I'm trying to read, I'm sitting in a stadium, it's the middle of the night, there's huge floodlights that are lighting up the playing field, and I'm trying to read, I want to learn a Mamar. I got stuck at this place, I got to be here, so I'm sitting here, but I want to learn. And you know what? The floodlights aren't so bright. So I have my iPhone, and I'm actually focusing, I'm shining the light of my iPhone on my Mamar, and I'm learning, and I got floodlights. But if the floodlights are so great, why do I need a flashlight of the iPhone? The answer is because I'm like 500 meters away from the floodlight, And therefore, because it's so far away, this light is actually seen. It's not like the Shraga Batira Mayahani, the famous Gemara, that says that when you have the sun shining, the candlelight, the effulgence of the candle is not seen, not appreciated. Here you can appreciate the candle, because the light isn't so intense. It's not sunlight. Nonetheless, if you want to describe somebody, how lit up was it? You won't say, it was so lit up that I had to use my iPhone. And say, this floodlight is amazing. There's new floodlights. Did you see them? You see those new floodlights down at the Air Canada Center? Unbelievable. So really, what's so amazing? Are you kidding? I was literally 1,000 yards away and I could still read a Mamar. You go, wow, that's powerful. You understand? So when I want to describe something that's very, very powerful, I'll use the description of the place where it was most unlikely to be. The essence of God is so transformative, not that it transformed profundity or lofty ideals. It transformed everyday reality, the lowest reality. Another example the Mittler Rebbe brings is from a barrel that is filled, overflowing with water. He says the barrel was so full, people will say, that it would even leak, the water was even spilling over the top. But that's not what the barrel is about. The barrel is not about the water that spilled over. The barrel is about the water that was contained. But the point I'm trying to make is it was so full that it even overflowed. Overflow becomes a sign of how full it is. So if you want to describe Atzmos, how will you describe it? You'll describe it by emphasizing the fact that it even impacted the Dvarim Pshutim. That even something like not murdering became a big deal. Became a godly act, a godly moment. That's how far it went. In other words, Matan Torah had to speak about simple things. Precisely because it was Hamshachas HaAtzmos. Precisely because we speak about the bringing forth of the greatest, the loftiest, most profound levels of divinity, we have to describe it in terms of how it impacts even the most everyday reality. That's the only way to appreciate and understand it. And he says, therefore, this was a very, very big deal. V'zeu atam. This is the reason. That's why the words that we use for the mitzvahs, there are profound mitzvahs, there are deeper mitzvahs, there are mitzvahs which require more intuition to appreciate and understand. But we were given the simplest of mitzvahs because because when we talk about the bringing forth of the essence of divinity, it will specifically resonate best and most in the simplest rung, in the most ordinary and everyday reality. This is broadly true with regard to existence itself. When we talk about Olam Tachten, the lowest world, we say godliness was revealed in all worlds and all levels of existence, but where was it felt? Where was the impact? That's where the lightning and thunder was. In Olam Hachi Tachten, in the lowest world, that there isn't Tachten Mimenu. V'heim be'olam za'atzmei, and in this world, in what language did it speak in? What issues did it resonate in? What ideas did it illuminate? The simplest. Pshutim b'yeser. That's why it said leimer. Leimer means so saying. Usually Moshe Rabbeinu is told, here's what you should say to others, but in this instance, God was speaking to everybody, so Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have to convey it to them and say it to them. So why does it say leimer? Azoger, says the Rebbe, that the world itself began to shake and say, yes, I can identify. Because the Hamshachas HaAtzmos was in such a way inside the lowest world was able to resonate and appreciate it. And this is why the Rebbe brings down in a footnote, each and every member of Am Yisrael, according to the Yalkut Shimoni, was saying, with each and every one of the Aseret HaDibra was saying, hein, yes, or according to another opinion, hein and lav, the things God said, loy, they said, no, we won't do that, and hein, yes, we will. In other words, it was full engagement. Matan Torah represents full engagement in the lowest world, engagement in the simplest things, engagement in the most personal and meaningful way. That's the issue of Matan Torah. That's a big deal. That's worthy of a sound and light show. But this is only half the answer. Unfortunately, we're out of time with this Mamar. Maybe in tomorrow's sermon I'll give you the rest of the answer as to why we need the lightning and the thunder. This is the essence of Matan Torah, the big deal that we're going to be reading about and thinking about and talking about over the course of this Holy Shabbos. I want to wish all of our listeners, wherever they might be, good Shabbos. And in Meretz Hashem, we should be Zoiche to the great revelation of the coming of Mashiach. B'mheira u'b'yameinu. Amen.
Rabbi.